Buongiorno, everyone. I know my hair looks all crazy and let's see if I do this. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, how about that for now? Okay. Oh no, not I know my hair's all uneven. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, so anyway, so okay, it was several years ago when uh, my demo was shared with the founder of Marilyn Manson's Fmr, Jason Charles Miller, founder and lead singer and songwriter and band leader of the band God. Interesting enough, God stopped the What? What? I don't understand. No one can. You're fine. No one can see you. Okay, it's on pause. It's on pause. Okay. So anyway, so um, Godhead was signed by Marilyn Manson to Marilyn Manson's record label in I think 2000. Marilyn Manson started a record label called Posthuman Records, as in posthumous, posthuman. That's my take. And Richard Goddard, the founder of Sire Records, who in my first vlog one of these 146, said that he said no to me and he said no to Jimi Hendrix. When Keith Richards' girlfriend of the Rolling Stones took him to sit down and listen to Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, which was the New York City, New York, Greenwich Village, Manhattan group that Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones' girlfriend at the time in '66 placed around Jimi Hendrix before he went off to London and got signed to Track Records and got managed by the bassist, co-founder of the Animals and all that. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, yes. So, but he produced Godhead. And again, Richard Goddard produced the Go-Go's album debut, Beauty and the Beat, and their sophomore LP, Vacation. So he's behind We Got the Beat and Our Lips Are Sealed and Vacation. These are classic songs, right? Marilyn Manson produced Godhead's 2001 album release on his record label, Posthuman Records, called 2000 Years of Human Error. Great title. But I don't know what happened. It just didn't work out. And Marilyn Manson shut down his record label. And Godhead ended up relocating. They're from the DMV area. They're local. And they ended up relocating in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, which is where Jason Charles Miller still is now, to my understanding. So I shared my demo with him years and years ago of Rough Tracks. I think it was 2011, when I had the keyboardist of the legendary underground punk group No Trend of the 80s be my sound engineer, recordist, and mixer while I was leading production and direction of my rough track of my demo of original instrumental rough tracks, not yet complete songs. And I sent them to Jason Charles Miller of Godhead formerly produced by Richard Goddard of Sire Records and signed, I believe Godhead was signed by them. I forget. Um, and and then picked up by Marilyn Manson. I think they even opened up. I think Godhead, after they were signed by Marilyn to Posthuman Records, um, after Jason and his band Godhead got together with Marilyn to produce the album 2000 Years of Human Error, I think that Godhead went on a world tour and opened up for Marilyn Manson to promote the album. And I think that world tour was called Marilyn Manson Dead to the World Tour. So anyway, Godhead appeared on the soundtrack album for the movie Queen of the Damned, starring Aaliyah. Yes. And they were also on the soundtrack for the Marvel Studio superhero movie Punisher. But I think it was Punisher 3. So anyway, I sent my rough track of my demo of original rough tracks, not yet complete songs. And he messaged me back, I like what I'm hearing. There's potential here, but I got to hear them vocals. So here we are now. And so I just wanted to mention, oh, yeah. Now, I remember I first saw him. We first saw each other at a place called the Diner in Silver Spring, Maryland, circa 1994, 1995. Then I approached him once at the original Black Cat, I think circa 95, 96, in what was the bar pool room. Then I saw him again at what was called Club Nation, and it was the industrial dance event titled I believe it was Alchemy. And I was the Roman emperor of the dance floor. Don't care what anyone says, but I was. And though I was envied by many of the so-called DC industrial gothic scene, I was. And I still ended up, having a ton of success and fun, all through and around, and over top of that entire scene. And yeah, so that's that. So, but nonetheless, there was an individual, a local, that they were extremely fond of, by the name of that they were extremely fond of, and he was, like a bipolar. He was a polarizing, but yet known by everyone in the quote unquote Estrada District of Columbia industrial DC goth dance scene. And long story short, he and I we knew each other. We would always engage and go back and forth. And the bottom line is, when I stepped onto the dance floor, I ruled, period. There was no one that could touch me. I was the Roman emperor of the DC industrial gothic dance scene dance floor. I was the Roman emperor god, period. I mesmerized myself. Okay, straight up. So, anyway, I had a lot of fun circumnavigating and navigating throughout that scene, and a lot of the envy and insecurity and self-hatred that I faced and was outnumbered and surrounded by, like all the other scenes of my city, the District of Columbia. But look at where I sit, and look at where I've been placed eternally now. Look at where I sit and stand eternally now after all that. Right. So anyway, back to this. Back to this individual that was well known, and very loved by them, by his own in that community, um, but yet also very polarizing. Um, so he and I would greet each other all the time. He would always say to me, "Hey, what's up, brother?" Yeah, that was him. "Hey, brother, how are you, brother? What's up, brother? How are you today, brother?" And he did it with style and pizzazz and flair, and he was an eccentric. He was very eccentric, um, and there was definitely goodness. There was something good in there, man. Definitely, man. Contrary to what many others may have said about him, there was something good there. I know, um, but nonetheless, um, I don't know what happened over time, but for some reason he started not being a big fan of Jorge. And I remember one time I was standing outside of one of the multiple venues that, I mean, they bounced around over the years, and he just gave me this bizarre look of disenchantment. Like, I'm not fond of you anymore. I don't think you're cool. And I couldn't understand why he looked at me like that. But we all know how I am. So it's like, I don't bring it, but if you bring it, I don't take it. And I am going to say or do something, I will respond. I will address the situation in one way or another. I think that my city knows this. I was notorious for this. All the clubs, all the bars, all the live music venues, it didn't matter. Um, I just, I don't know. I don't know. I just think I'm racially incapable of tolerating shit. Okay, so sorry, because this is for kids. I apologize. That bad for Jorge. Bad. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, but this is the deal. So I was like, okay, well, you're not a fan of me, now, then so be it. All right, see ya. Not because I was being dismissive, but I was just like, this is unwarranted. Like, why? No, not why, but okay. So anyway, um, and I don't want to hear any feedback. Oh, it's because of that. See, that's the thing. I'm so glad I'm done with was just all of it, just psychoness, the psychoticness of nothingness that was just always circulating about people. I'm just not interested in all of that. Okay, all right. So anyway, um, I learned that he was having a New Year's Eve party at his group house on Little River Turnpike in Annandale, Virginia. By a mutual member of that community, and I was like, okay. So um, I go. I'm like, no, I shouldn't go. He's not going to want me there. He's not a fan of me anymore. I don't know if it's because I got more in touch with my roots or whatever. But ever since that, he was just like different towards me. Yeah, I wasn't as, oh, okay, I'll believe and take anything that's said to me and that orbits around me, and I'm just completely, totally cosmic, transcendental, universal, and having fun, and everything is just, everything is just great and normal. This is really how it just is, and that's just it. So I did go through a metamorphosis over time in front of my city, and my former bandmates weren't fond of it, and just several throughout weren't fond of it. That I got completely, totally in touch with my root Roman, Latin, Greek, Mediterranean roots, Italian, Greek, call it what you want, Etruscan, Roman, Italian, Greek, white, classic European, Hispanic, Latin, right. If you're Hispanic, Latin, Mediterranean, you're Roman, Greek, Italian, period. You're classic European, you're the founders of the West. And I just completely got connected with me. So girls I was hanging out with started acting different. My band members acted a little different. I think, I don't know. But I remember when I said I wanted to change the name of the band to Mutatio Formi, I mean, it was like I issued a death certificate, right? So I was like, I said to this person that invited me, I said, no, I don't know if I should go. I don't know if I should go. But then he said, come on, man. Come on. It's him. Everyone's going to be there. It's you. If it doesn't work out, we'll just leave. I said, deal. So I go to the house. It was packed. Hundreds of members of the DC quote industrial, the whole goth scene, right? And I know. So anyway, I'm in there, and he finally comes home from work, and I happen to be in his bedroom, and it just got really quiet in there, and there were people all around us, and we looked at each other, and we smiled at each other, and we gave each other a hug, and I stayed, and we had a blast. But me being, you know, the Roman imperial, the Roman Grand Wizard Emperor that I am, I can see and sense there's so much, so fast, right? So how do you think I conquered my city, all of my opposition within my city and DMV and throughout the US and throughout the entire planet and the very uppermost, toppermost of Fox 100th anniversary of inception? I mean, yeah, so definitely a serious compass of circumnavigation and navigation that flows through the blood of this body. So I saw the person that he was with, right? I was like, boy. I said, that's not a good, that's a different kind of vibrational wavelength frequency. I said, maybe I should talk to him on the side and pull him to the side. So no matter how I tried to get to this person, everyone will remain anonymous because it's the right thing to do. But no matter how I tried to get to him, I couldn't get to him. Every time I was going to say something to him, this new female partner of his, who I got a really eerie, gorish vibe from, like that, was right there. It was physically implausible to pull him to the side and just talk to him. I couldn't even whisper in his ear. So, long story short, I saw them again months later at another one of these dance events. And what do you know? I tried to talk to him. I just wanted to talk to him one on one, just pull him to the side, and I wasn't able to. So that was the 13th of February, 2010. I remember it was at the warehouse on Oakey Street in Northeast, opposite of the BET headquarters. And that's where it was, I think, if it was Bound, I think Bound was down there and so on. So I walked up to them both and said, look, I just, I randomly bumped into the, at the time, 27-year running adult hardcover North American head recruiter for Penguin Books. And that's when I was really talking about putting out my treatise, which I still am going to. That's at the end of this. And he didn't seem that thrilled for me, to be honest. So I'm in the recording studio with days later with this former keyboardist of the underground 80s punk rock trend. were working on my demo of Rough Tracks that I would end up sharing with the lead singer, frontman, songwriter of, and I believe rhythm guitarist of Godhead, which was signed by Marilyn Manson, right? See, this is all about this, right? So I get a call. He goes, "Guess what, man?" I go, "Yeah, what's up, man? I'm at Danny's apartment. We're recording. What's up?" He says, "He's dead." I said, "Who's dead?" He says, "The guy that you tried to talk to, who I convinced you to go to his house party for New Year's Eve several months ago, is dead." I said, "Oh boy, let me guess. Let me guess how it happened." He said, "You're right. That's how it happened. He ended his life." Okay. Because I do this for kids, I'm not going to get into the graphic details of what happened. But she took his life from him. And she did it only 2 days after I saw them the last time. So I saw them the 13th of February, 2010. And then I learned that he was killed by her 2 days later, the 15th of February, 2010. Um, well, this isn't different from anything that, teens around the country see every day on the media. So, um, you know, within reason, right? I'm always thinking about, 'cause I have my daughter, and I want to set an example. And so basically, I wasn't surprised, and I said, "Let me guess, it was that chick that gave me the really gorish, eerie vibe from the second I saw her." He said, "Yeah, man." Okay. So what does that have to do with Marilyn Manson's former recording artist, Jason Miller of Godhead? Well, now let me tell you. So they held this guy's funeral in Fairfax, Virginia, and I went, and then we all sort of migrated over to Fairfax Cemetery, and somehow, organically, cosmically, even though I was nowhere near as close to him as those that were actually close to him, who were truly his friends at that scene, I ended up at the front of the line. Um, I somehow ended up at the front out of a long line. I mean, everyone was dressed in that style of fashion and garb. I mean, it looked like we were attending Marilyn Manson's funeral. And so I end up at the front of the line. It was very odd because um, when we were in the funeral home first, I somehow ended up organically right behind his family in procession as they were taking his, I believe, body in the casket out of the funeral home to take to the cemetery. So I end up organically, cosmically at the foot of the one of the first. So I'm standing over his grave, completely dug open, and I'm peering down and I'm looking at his coffin. And the few in front of me, like, already threw rose petals down there, and I think poured wine or champagne because he was quite the wine connoisseur. He loved wine, and he was a waiter. And from what I heard, he was a fantastic waiter. So he knew all of his wines, all of his champagnes. And I'm standing there, and then I look on the other side of the dug open grave, and it's the lead singer, frontman, songwriter, guitarist of Godhead, Marilyn Manson's former recording artist, signed to Marilyn Manson's record label, Posthuman Records. And he's standing on the other side of this guy's coffin. So we end up saying hi. I go, "Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, man?" And he recognized me. And I asked him for his card. This was, I think, February 2010. And he said, "You're just in luck because this is the final and last card I have left." And he gave me the card. So then after that, years later, I shared my demo. I think maybe the following year, I shared my demo of Rough Track Originals. And he said, "I like what I'm hearing. There's potential here, but I got to hear the vocals." Okay, so that's this video log. Okay, so that was already, what, 13 and a half years ago. So he's worked with Bret Michaels of Poison. He's worked with one of the brothers from ZZ Top. He's worked with Miley Cyrus. They've toured around the world multiple times, and they've played the Reading Festival and all that. Okay, Jorge Estrada, DC, di Servitatio Formulai. Arrivederci.